All right, gents, I'm going to be gone to Colorado come next Thursday, but I wanted to contribute at least my opinion of what does it mean, or what does having a spiritual discipline mean based on the book and the introduction that we're supposed to read. I'll try to make it quick, though there's a lot to unpack if you have eyes to see it. But Foster starts off talking about how he comes out of seminary and he's like loaded with information, and so he's going to give it to all his people. But they end up, about 3 months into it, he realizes that's not what they need. It's really interesting since like a lot of our the Protestant evangelical intellectual sphere is really what they call Cartesian. It's based on Rene Descartes' "I think, therefore I am." So we're fundamentally thinking things. We all believe that we need more information, and so it's like he clearly goes to the seminary, he gets him this information that turns around and that's what he thinks his job is to give to his people, and then they come back spiritually broke still, and they're starving. As I kind of thought through this and talked to Caitlin about it last night. It was like, it's almost like if you were starving and someone were to hand you a brick. It's like that brick's really useful, it's really dense, it's good stuff, but it's not what you need if you're going to starve. So then he starts to kind of like go off into it and starts trying to explore and figure out exactly like what do I need, and then that leads into an experimentation period with all these different people that these are his three big influences, one of which is a nurse at a NICU that's like actively praying for and laying hands on these little babies and seeing them get better. It's interesting. So he goes to Augustine of Hippo, who's he's from Hippo, which is in modern day Libya, and then becomes the first bishop in Rome about 300. I think it's like 285 or so. You can fact check that. Then the next one is St. Francis of Assisi, who dies in 1228. So all of this happens pre-Enlightenment, pre-Reformation, at a time when there was a still amount of mystery in the world, that we believe that we're tripartite beings, that we have a body, a mind, a psychology, and a soul. After the Reformation happens, all of a sudden the soul gets cold from that, and we become bipartite, and we become like physical beings that have a brain, and that also becomes the way that we interpret the world. Empiricism through our five senses. If we can see it, it exists. If we can touch it, feel it, or if we can rationalize it, then it must exist. Then there is no revelation at that point. This culminates honestly with Auschwitz. Like you can kind of go and see the conversation all the way up to Darwin. And Darwin's just like, well, the origin of species, whatever is the strongest wins. And then, Nietzsche will then say, because we took systemized theology and applied it to science, and so he says, God is dead, and we killed him because we overanalyzed the problem, and we analyzed away all of the spiritualized stuff because we couldn't see it. For sure, we can't experiment on it, so empiricism doesn't work on it, and we can't rationalize it because we get all kinds of crazy miracles and spiritual things that we don't understand is happening. That's what Nietzsche meant by that. And then so now you get to the 1970s with Foster, who's standing on this foundation that his forefathers have left for him, and he's seeing the inadequacy of it. He's seeing the bankruptness of not giving people spiritual food, not just giving them information, but teaching them how to engage in the spiritual realm. And so that's what the book is about, and that's what spiritual discipline is. It's the reintegration of the spiritual life into the body and the mind. And then the book is really, really good, and it's going to be really, really cool. He's going to continually go back to these kind of pre-Reformation times, to where he's going to engage the mystics as they're known in some circles, and start to say how do we employ study? How do we employ imagination? How do we employ prayer? And what's prayer look like? What can prayer look like? Because there's not it's not just simply getting down on your knees and saying a few words. There's a lot more to it than that, and it can be a lot more than that. And yeah, so that's my take on what a spiritual discipline is and how Foster got it. Hope you watch it and enjoy it.